This week is Parshas BaMidbar, and it starts the fourth book of the Torah, also called Sefer HaPikudim, the book of Exodus. It's the first topic, or almost the first word, is BaMidbar. It's in the desert, the Sinai desert between Egypt and the Eretz HaKodesh. And the first topic is that God tells Moshe Rabbeinu to take a count of the Bnei Yisrael. Now, it's not a general census. What Hashem tells Moshe is that he should number the Shvatim, the 12 tribes, not the sacred tribe of Levi, all men who are over 20, and they should be counted by their families, by their patrilinear lines. And it's, as I said, it's to go for the purposes of going into the army of Hashem, and ostensibly to conquer the land of Israel. The Chumash then goes into the count, and it counts each tribe separately, and it also repeats the language 12 times for each tribe, that it's by their families, by their father's line, and it's to go into the army. And then it gives a total, and for a 13th time, it uses the same language. And it would certainly be much more concise just to give the command and then give the total for each tribe and then the grand total. And you could even make a case and say that even the total for each individual tribe is not really necessary. To compound the question, shortly after that, it has a description of the 4 camps, each one comprised of 3 tribes, the population by camp and its components by tribes, and the leaders of the tribes who have already been mentioned. So you've got a lot of mentionings and language and repetition devoted just to this count. So Rashi explains this, saying that it is because of Hashem's affection towards the children of Israel that he counts them frequently. So one way we can understand this is by taking a look at little children who will play the same song that they like a lot repeatedly. They will often ask their parents to tell them the same story over and over again each and every day. If there's something they find amusing, they will ask the same question many, many times. So to speak, what is being demonstrated in a child is something that is in all of us, in all adults, but it's not as apparent as it is in a child. And so to speak, the reason that we see it in children is because it is in God himself, that through repetition you have an expression of affection. Okay. The Chumash then goes into the Levium, and it's just one tribe, and it breaks it down by 3 totals by the 3 sons of Levi, Kahat, Merari, and Gershon. And then it gives a list of what their specifically chores are going to be doing. In addition to that, when you have the four camps of the children of Israel, it corresponds to, shall we say, 3 or 4 camps of the Levim, or the Levim and the Kohanim, where the Levim are between the Mishkan and the camps of the Bnei Yisrael. So they are closer. And they are also mentioned, as I said, their tasks are more in detail. This one's going to carry this clan is going to carry the Ark of the Covenant. This camp is going to do the heavy lifting, the heavy beams. This camp is going to carry the things that are lighter. So what we see is an example of hashgacha pratis, and the idea of that saying something by name gives is an expression of kedusha, not just kedusha. It's an expression of love. The quote from Yeshayahu is brought by the Kli Yakar that Hashem, so to speak, counts the Jewish people like he counts the stars, and he calls them by name. You have examples in the Chumash where when God calls out to Moshe from the burning bush, he says, Moshe, Moshe, mentions his name twice. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls out to Avraham that it's not necessary to sacrifice his son, he says, Avraham, Avraham, says it twice. And Rashi comments that the idea is it's an expression of love, that he says their name twice. In addition to that, the detailed description of the work of the Levim, as opposed to just simply saying that they're in temple service, as opposed to the Shvatim that says they're just in army service. What that is an expression of hashgacha pratis. The idea of hashgacha pratis as opposed to hashgacha klalis. One is how much the hand of heaven is in a person's life individually, as opposed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is just simply running the world. And this is how the world works, and this is his relationship to the world. The closer somebody is to Hashem, the greater Hashem's providence is on him. So to speak, he is watching him and guiding him and moving the world in order to educate this person, bring him closer to God. If it's someone who's very distant, it's just he's part of a group. It's like it's the difference between a student getting private lessons and a student that is in a class. It then moves on, mentions Aharon and his 2 sons, Itamar and Eleazar. It mentions them by name, and they are stationed at the entrance to the temple. So they are the closest and the most visible. And what you're talking about here is the greatest of tzaddikim. To a certain extent, it's all a mashal, because the most important thing really is a person's free will. However, certainly the Kohanim, or I should say the Leviim, in the Mice of the Egel, certainly showed that they had greater loyalty to Hashem in that instance than the rest of the children of Israel. And when you're talking about Moshe and Aaron, they even surpassed the Leviim. So we're talking about unique tzaddikim. And it's discussed in the Gemara Sukkah 45b, as I recall, in which Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says that he says, I've seen B'nai Aliyah, people who are committed to ascension, and they are very few. If there are only two of them in the world, then it's me and my son. So the Gemara has a discussion about that, and it brings a quote from the Tanakh, where it says that there are 18,000 tzaddikim who are in the first row to receive HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Then it brings another pasuk that says that there are only 36, or there are no less than 36 great tzaddikim. And it's resolved by saying that you have 18,000 that see the face of the Shekhinah, but they see it through a prism that is at times blurry. When you're talking about the 36, they see the divine presence through a prism that is absolutely clear. And you're talking about 18,000 people who can enter the divine presence, but they need permission. And then you are talking about the 36 great tzaddikim that can enter into God's inner chamber unconditionally.